Welcome back to the biggest tournament in League of Legends, where 2018 World Finalists Fnatic are one game away from being swept out of the tournament. You're getting a look at the action from the lens of the Oppo Reno 2 mobile phone, which boasts some cutting-edge anti-shake and 20 times zoom technology. Of course, the question here now is, with 2-0 standing the series score, Fnatic needing to string 3 wins together to have that shot at another World Final. How do they do it?
It's all about execution, Dash. Twice now, we've had very clear ideas of what Fnatic wanted to do. In Game 1, they should have been attacking their solo lanes. They should have been trying to get them ahead. They failed. In Game 2, they tried to do the same thing, but they fumbled on a dive. I think Fnatic can turn this around. I think they can definitely at least take a game, but they need to clean up their play if they want to stand a chance.
Yeah, I'm going to go on the other side of that and say that we saw the 2 different looks. I was hedging my bets. I was like, I think the Fnatic can outplay them. I think it's creative. They have different styles to attack the map. We saw them play standard. We've seen them try to go for the creativity. And the fact of the matter is, they're not as good as FPX. They're getting out-executed.
Flip-flopping now. Get over here.
Come on, FPX boys. Yeah, getting a lot of sass from that side of the room right now. Raz, jump in here. What are your thoughts?
I think Fnatic are getting slower and slower. I like that they were active in the first few games, but like even the fact that FPX are actually consistently losing these level 1s, but then it comes to the point that even in the deficit that they had in this game, Tian comes running down bot lane, and then he comes right back bot lane. Right. And then you just have LWX who's thriving.
You're already going where I want to, which is let's talk about what is working for FPX. And then I will challenge us to build the battle plan for Fnatic to get themselves back into this series.
I mean, it's as Raz said, it does really start with Tian here, and he's picking his moment to when to attack. And it's also the fact that, like, open wide, here comes the spoon, like just being spoon-fed these kills. This dive was atrocious from Fnatic, and it picks up 4 kills for LWX, who then rocks back into a lane as a massively fed Varus.
I'm telling you, it's plays like this that just make you sad, but you've also got to give so much credit to what FPX is doing, because this is a team that typically plays through their bot lane. They work with Doinb, the Tian-Doinb duo, brings their pressure to the bot side of the map. But in this game, they didn't do it because they had the Kayle in the mid lane. But this shouldn't be a surprise to Fnatic. They shouldn't be shocked when they see the enemy jungler on the bot side of the map, because we all know that that is where Tian is going to be playing around and where he's going to be. So the fact that they keep trying to force these plays and keep getting countered is ultimately what is enabling FPX to find these early leads and then balloon them in the mid game.
And I think just at a much smaller level, if you go back and watch that play, it's not just the thought process that I think is a problem for Fnatic. It's the fact that all of those skill shots missed. You threw out 2 Qs and you didn't hit a single one. You have incredible like breaking ankles down there on Chris, and then they just turn around. It's mechanics. It's brain and hands.
And so I think when you ask the question, because I remember in the last series when we were challenged, like, do you think Griffin can come back? I thought that they would, because there was so much that was going well in the first 15 minutes. This time around, I look at Fnatic, and I think that the active thinking a lot of the times aren't working out well in the first at all. So if I would kind of limit it to just saying the first 2 to 3 minutes have actually been good from Fnatic, but a lot of the times, you know, we don't see that connection being brought across from Broxah and the rest of the map that it has been the case for them throughout the entire year.
All right, so then help me out, all right? Because as a thought experiment, I do want to find the way for Fnatic to get to 3-2. So Vedius, what would be the answer here, at least to put 1 win up on the board?
Well, one of the big things is Hylissang and support. I feel like right now, he is a large part of where some of the early deficits are coming from. Sure, his Yuumi game was not like directly his fault, but especially that Alistar game, we really got to see the support difference. And Crisp as a player seems to have a lot of control and influence. So Hylissang needs to find a way to better match up against Crisp and find a way of controlling him, because if he can't, this duo of Crisp and Tian is going to keep running over Fnatic.
I think it's about finding Hilly's active champion pool for this tournament. We saw in second rotation of bans that he's being hit a lot and really pinched, forced onto the Alistar. And I think that might mean, in terms of a drafting change-up, that you have to blind pick or prioritize Hilly's pick if you actually want to have a shot at this, because Crisp is just so much more flexible with such a deeper champion pool.
I mean, if we take a look at what worked in week 2 for Fnatic, you're taking a look at Xayah, Rakan's in the bot lane. We'll see if we get it here in game 3. Time to see who comes out on top, though, as we send it back to the casters for our 3rd game of this best of 5.
Thank you very much, Dash, and welcome back as I'm joined by Kobe and Fisher once more for what could be the last game of Fnatic's 2019 Worlds. You guys know how much I love my useless stats and records. The fastest BO5 in international history was Team Liquid versus G2 in 1 hour and 10 minutes. This series clocks in at 50 minutes and 37 seconds. If FPX do it in 20, which is feasible, they could break that record, gentlemen, as we head into draft for Game 3.
Yeah, go ahead and take that one off our hands. Don't really want to hold that record.
So, Fnatic Game 1, when they were on red side, they banned Pantheon, they banned Qiyana, and they banned Renekton. Pantheon coming in again. Qiyana is a pick they haven't really shown us or used. And I still think the Renekton versus Ryze debate is a tough one.
Here's also my question. Are FPX going to first pick Xayah to continue to deny it from Rekkles?
Yeah, why not?
Fnatic look like a completely different team. Or are they going to switch something up here? Because I feel like that would actually be the ray of hope for Fnatic.
If we get Xayah first pick, I think Fnatic can just take the Ryze for themselves. If they ban Renekton here, they don't have to give over the Ryze and spend a ban on Renekton. They actually do take away the Xayah here, so we're down just with Kai'Sa as kind of the main AD carry pick. This could mean Fnatic wants to run a mage bot lane or to Garen Yuumi again. If they do run a mage, it could be to enable Hylissang to leave the lane and go do something else.
Yeah, priority too high on the Ryze here. Flex pick for FPX. So they're going to first pick it. And then Fnatic do finally get, you know, the last remaining of the top tier AD carries here in the Kai'Sa pick. LWX has shown that he's very willing to step outside that tier that has dominated the bottom lane meta of Worlds, though.
The question is, what else do Fnatic lock in? Last second change, Broxah's Lucian had 1 or 2 decent kicks, and despite a strong, full buff start, the tower dive did not go his way.
First pick signals comfort, not a huge change for Fnatic. They want the Lucian. It is the #1 pick for Bwipo in the jungle, for Broxah in the jungle. The fact they didn't take Kai'Sa instantly means they wanted more time to discuss what are we actually going for, what are we gonna play on bot side. They end up going with Kai'Sa, spending the full time in draft, just talking through everything. Varus, Tahm Kench are available for FPX, but so is this Renekton that was banned in the last couple of games.
The question is, why was it banned, and what do Fnatic want to run into it? Obviously fearing that GimGoon or Renekton up top.
It's banned because it is a flex pick for FPX. It is an incredibly powerful laner, and FPX look amazing when they have winning lanes and they draft a jungler that can dive towers. Elise is available, also a very good one to pair with that, but Rek'Sai's ultimate can also drop tower aggro, and they can do the same thing.
And I wonder now if we're gonna get Pyke. I think if you don't grab it here, there's a high chance it gets banned in the second one. You are down 2-0. It is the #1 pick for Fnatic and for Hylissang when they want to create something around bottom side. They're not going to have a lot of fun against the solo laners. Instead, actually, Nemesis coming in with the Veigar.
Veigar's very interesting because it's kind of hard to play off early on in the lane phase around your mid lane, and we've been talking up mid, jungle, and support early on. However, the cage stun does provide a lot of value when you're setting up by those objectives and you try and bully off and create that big zone of control.
And of course, Veigar was used by Fnatic and Nemesis to take down SKT in the group stage. They went 5-1-12. Phase 2 of bans, very heavily targeted, and that's a pool. Rakan, Tahm Kench, you would imagine FPX would consider banning the Pyke, as it was one of the picks that we're all looking to, and it's a comfort that Hylissang would very much like to get in his hands.
Exactly, unless they feel they can easily deal with Pyke Kai'Sa as the duo on their side. Obviously, on the side of Fnatic, they don't necessarily have to show support. They could still show top laner because they look at the 2 solo laners anyway on the FPX side, but I think the Pyke ban is smart. I think definitely in this kind of game here when Fnatic have to do something, take away the #1 pick.
So, what is the bottom lane we're going to see from FunPlus Phoenix? The Vayne is gone, the TK is gone, and there's a hover for Ornn right now. Why do you like it?
I just think if you look at especially Renekton top lane, you need something that can actually stay alive and protect itself if you are about to get tower dive.
It's a lot of scaling, though. This is so much scaling for Fnatic.
I mean, to me, still screaming, we're gonna play through bot side. We need something top that can stay alive and have value even if it falls behind. Ornn can do that because of his ulti and because of the item buffs, but I still think we're going to see a playmaking support for Hylissang. That's why they are last picking. We highlighted this just before. They know the solo laners. They can last pick support and try and get a winning matchup bot.
Yeah, and FPX, they see that much scaling on Fnatic's side, and they just go all in here. I think that no matter what the final pick is here for Fnatic, our early game is going to look like FPX with the first step. And can Fnatic outplay? Can they answer those moves?
We're definitely expecting FPX to control around mid with Rek'Sai and Ryze or Renekton. And then Nemesis needs more time before he really starts having a lot of impact. It's not a roaming pick by any means. It's not the Twisted Fate as we have seen the last two. So we most likely will not see the same kind of aggressive early play. I think Fnatic might have said, listen guys, this early game is not working. We're not actually able to execute it properly. We are falling too far behind. FPX, they have our number. Let's try and pack a little bit more team fighting in here. So you have a ton of engage, you have great CC, and you still have a scaling AD carry where Rekkles can win you fights in the late game. So I think Fnatic's coaching staff decided, current plan, let's drop it. We know we can win late game team fights against FPX. Now we just have to get there.
Exactly. Complete focus is on time. Can Fnatic buy that time? Quickshot, you were talking about your stats earlier. So far, there hasn't been much in this series.
Nope, there has not. 2 25-minute victories for FunPlus Phoenix. A 20-minute win will break the record of the fastest international BO5. Now, the question is, can Fnatic delay long enough for not only their team composition to come online, but to prevent the record being broken, to keep their tournament hopes alive? FunPlus Phoenix are 1 win away from an all LPL showdown. Number 1 versus number 3 seed for a guaranteed LPL back-to-back World Finals appearance.
And I'm really looking at both junglers here because Tian on the Rek'Sai, he can be the one to really snowball the game, to make sure they have a winning mid lane matchup where they can then roam to the bottom side and set up plays with the Lucian and the Nautilus. While Broxah, he's kind of the bridge in the early game that has to get the team past the early laning phase. If he ends up falling behind here, or if he's not able to actually pull off any sort of counter ganks, then suddenly FPX will have full control.
Deficio, a game and a half ago, we talked a little bit about Broxah, his early game impact, the first half of groups, second half of groups. Is he going to be able to do it? We've seen the Lee Sin back-to-back games. If he's got to be the bridge, there is a lot of pressure on this man who seems to have struggled against Tian.
Let me read something from his teammate then, Quickshot. And it is from Rekkles, his quote at the beginning of group stages. I also know when the tournament starts, everything that you've done before and every theory is out the window. And then it's just up to the people who can handle the pressure when they're up there on stage. There's no greater pressure on Fnatic than right now. And can Rekkles and Fnatic live up to that quote and be that team?
Well, do you remember a game ago I talked about how much experience FunPlus Phoenix have on this stage? The experience, the ability to step up when it counts. Let me show you how many international games Fnatic played before the 2 they've already accrued. Bwipo 32, Broxah 56, Rekkles 74, including World Semi-Finals appearances, World Finals appearances, and Nemesis, the Stone Cold Killer, the only rookie to this stage. These numbers could stop right now if they don't find a way to extend the series.
They've been here before, a lot of the members at least. And I'm actually not concerned about Fnatic like mentally collapsing going into this kind of game. I think the change in strategy might be what they need, at least to feel comfortable going into the game, saying, okay, we don't have to snowball early game. We don't have to tower dive the bot lane as early as possible. We can actually play a little bit more relaxed and just focus on tracking Tian on the Rek'Sai.
Yep, my focus is going to be on FPX here. Series in their hands.
Oh, little power spike again.
Point.
Slightly different champion.
Yeah, Bwipo getting a nice trade off there. Grassbrock as well. See if they actually reverse clear here for Tian, because you mentioned the Rek'Sai, level 3 now here, can head up, try and attack. Renekton Rek'Sai, incredibly potent in the 2v2, and Rek'Sai has so many pathways to try and affect that lane and get some early gold in the Renekton's hands.
Yeah, we have the early ward down from Bwipo being in the top, and you see it in the brush, but there's, as you highlighted, a lot of paths he can take around to still get there and actually gank him. Broxah might path to top side now and actually be there to protect a potential play.
And talking about Broxah, we saw him clearing out his blue buff as the first time all series long where FunPlus, Phoenix, and Fnatic did not contest the first blue spawn. So multiple times in a row that fight happening, and Broxah seems to have snuck himself in here behind LWX and Chris.
Yeah, you're sneaky at first, but then you pop that plant, and everybody knows where you've been. So LWX and Chris should be playing with an appropriate amount of respect.
Let's open up for top lane, but Bwipo right now should know my jungler's bot side, I'm weak side. I need to just step away until I have more information or backup. So right now he can't actually push forward without getting risked, without potentially dying to a gank.
Exactly. You can see him on the minimap hovering behind the minion wave because it's overextended there. And you notice he has no pressure. This is allowing currently
focus.
Tian on the Raptor camp to farm away. Meanwhile, LWX and Chris just playing defensively under the tower.
Can you proc the Aftershock here for Hylissang if you want to go for something, but there's very few minions. It's super risky.
Yeah, there's no way you pull that dive off with these champions. Those are not super strong diving champions against full health enemies.
Especially with all the CC and the kit of Crisp's Nautilus. The risk was simply too great. We catch a quick glimpse of Doinb teleporting back to lane. He's picked up that Tear of the Goddess already, Nemesis using that Baleful Strike to try farm himself under the tower. And a few moments ago, Tian was at least hovering or sort of shadowing GimGoon's lane up at the top. Doinb steps in, places that another ward down. And as it starts for now, no action in the early game. Big change from the earlier matches this series.
Exactly, but we'll keep seeing this, you know, Renekton pushing in. The Ornn is like, yeah, it's fine, I'll build a few items here and there and get a bit of extra stats, and then you can't kill me that easily. And once you hit level 6 on Ornn, it gets harder to dive him as well. But there's still an opening. Like, you can bring Ryze, you can bring Rek'Sai, you will be able to of course, shut him down. It's just about playing very defensive on top side for Fnatic, unless Broxah is there to try and do something. But it's a very risky lane to gank.
And I really do want to highlight that Tian didn't waste any time because Bwipo's playing defensively and giving that respect on the weak side. Tian is hard farming. This Rek'Sai is opening up a very big farm lead. As you see there, that was the counter jungled Raptor camp that he did earlier. He's already a level ahead of Broxah, has the extra longsword from that back, and is looking to prey on this matchup.
Always love this ward here. To try and see any potential like pathing around it. People don't always check if it's actually there, so it gives you a lot of free information. And now we talked about focus around mid lane from FPX, trying to shut down Nemesis.
All right, Event Horizon will come up. That will at least interrupt Tian for now. The teleport starts to channel. Nemesis flashes away defensively. So Doinb's now coming in. Rekkles at level 4 uses the Acathian Rain. The wave is pushing away from him, but I think the TP saves Nemesis's life. And we'll need to see what impact this has on the remainder of the laning phase.
Yeah, it does. And that was a rare case of Doinb ganking his own lane, as the Rek'Sai was showing on the ward. Crisp has to run away to the Blast Cone, but should be fine. Now, if we return to that lane, this is a flashless Veigar, teleportless Veigar that could definitely get rooted up. Fnatic will use the reset off of pressure, though, to get this dragon.
Ooh, looking at the mini-map. Now, there's no mana for Doinb, so he's just going to go for the plants. I got excited for a second, wondering whether or not Tian and Doinb wanted to consider the tower dive.
This is the dive we mentioned. If you bring multiple members, of course you can take down the Ornn here. Ulti is ready, can try and use it.
All right, what can Bwipo do? Call of the Forge Guard is available. It is called. Can he get the knockup? No, it's interrupted. He can't bounce it back. GimGoon and Tian double team. Well, Doinb gets the assist, and that was beautifully done.
Perfect timing here on the stun, but let's look at summoner spells. 2 flashes used by FPX, 1 of course by Bwipo. They do get the kill, but Fnatic still took a Mountain Drake. So it's an expected trade when you have the Ornn up top there against the Renekton. You will at some point die under your turret, but hopefully your team is getting something elsewhere.
Well, let's take a look. Hylissang now taking some damage. Broxah comes over the wall. The stun from the trample will land. No killer instinct for Rekkles to follow up, but they get Crisp's flash. So that tower dive that Broxah was really fishing for earlier, now at least a little more believable.
Yeah, we'll see how well they can hover under tower. LWX, good reactions there. He has the red buff. He was able to stay safe. Here's another look at the tower dive, though. And they know that Fnatic are on the bottom side, so no hesitation there on the flash. Doinb goes in. They know they can lock him up. Stun there, able to lock him out.
Yeah, just make sure he can't actually hit the ulti the second time around, and then he will die. Want to highlight, no TP used back to lane from GimGoon right here. He's actually saving it for potentially making a play on bottom side. They will have level 6 on the Nautilus very soon. So you have CC set up, and then you can actually try and shut down Rekkles or Hylissang. The other reason could also just be that, I mean, there wasn't really any reason for him to catch like one minion, basically, and then
It's a pretty good reason to
he
save.
can just save it anyway. So he's able to use his advantage now to apply pressure elsewhere by keeping the TP. Maybe later he decides to use it back to lane just for a bit more pressure.
I'm going to keep my eyes on how Tian continues to impact this map. He's already done such an exceptional job, still a level ahead, healthy CS advantage. As now Hylissang is going to look for LWX. Very good headbutt and pulverize under the tower. LWX almost winning the fight. He had that Cutlass to work with, but Hylissang played patiently.
Yep, he gets him right into the tower. That is a key tower shot there. He gets him just into range to get the red buff back. Unfortunately, Hylissang also got the kill credit, but that is definitely a very big answer from Fnatic.
He completely outplayed him, and I bet you, Stumble and FPX said, we got TP top, we're jungler on bot side, you can play aggressive. Come on, try and force a fight, you can play aggressive. And then he actually ignores the fact that Hylissang can sit in that little brush and then knock him into the turret. Big play here from Fnatic side. They were not supposed to get anything bot lane, and they just got a kill.
Absolutely the case. Fnatic are still 1,000 gold down, but all credit to Hilly.
Yeah, look at the patience there, because he needs every bit of distance just into tower range, then goes for the flash to make sure they have enough damage to finish off before Rekkles goes down. Look at the picture-in-picture, though. GimGoon!
Wait, is this a solo kill? Bwipo's trying to chase him down, but I think GimGoon should be able to escape. The searing charge will not find his target, and GimGoon lives to fight another day.
Can't believe he almost died right there. Let's see what happens, but Hylissang's looking for something. It's FPX invading on blue buff. We keep mentioning they have the TP. They can use it on bottom side if they want to, so they know there's a chance of a numbers advantage. He's using it back to lane now.
Take a look at the TP going top. Bwipo, ultimate and TP on cooldown. Rekkles and Hilly. Man, there's so many FPX members looking to chase them down. Hilly, it looked like he was kind of going fishing himself as Nemesis and Broxah made their way down. But I want to go back to that Ornn point really quickly during draft. You both said that pick had to just survive lane, had to scale, and Fnatic are nearly even in gold at 10 minutes. They're trading 1-for-1. It's looking okay for now.
Yeah, it's looking okay. And I said before we went live here, Ornn is broken, man. Just pick it. Just you always have value in the game with your ulti and the fact you make your other carries better as well.
All right, let's start up this Rift out here. It looks like they do know there was an early recall. As you can see on the mini-map, Crisp is going from base. Crisp will be there first, and support desynced recalls mean FPX should definitely be able to finish this. Bwipo also going back to base. Fnatic are seeding the Rift Herald over. That should get turned into turret plates. There's plenty of time for FPX, and they can work off of either of those solo lanes to try and get full value out of that objective. So this should further propel that early game that they're looking for.
For now, they can definitely try and play almost every single lane with the current setup they have. I do like the armor stacking, of course, as well on the Ornn top side. You're against Rek'Sai and Renekton. So just try again to make it as hard as possible for them to actually kill you under the turret, so they decide to go somewhere else.
And the big difference in that matchup comes when you complete your Spear of Sojin. Bottom side engage.
All right, that's the engage plus the ignite. So stopwatch will at least get proc. So Hilly's going to be happy already.
TP.
Teleports. That's traded 1-for-1. Nautilus ultimate knocks Rekkles up into the air. Now Hilly's trying to escape. Nemesis lands the event horizon, but Doinb almost survives. LWX is running for his life. There's the engage from Hylissang. That's a double kill for Fnatic. Is traded one back as Tian gets the reply, and Broxah arrives a little late to the party.
Veigar coming up big for Fnatic again! Nemesis answers the teleport, and that stun is on point. They finish off Doinb, and that is 2 kills as LWX got chased down because of the Glacial Augment. Now it's going to be turned into Dragon number 2, and this time around, it is double mountains for Fnatic looking towards that Baron setup.
Fisher, you had talked about the teleport advantage for FPX for a while, but Nemesis's response was fantastic.
Obviously, Renekton used it back to lane earlier, so now it was just a 1-for-1 trade. The difference is, one guy is actually TPing in extremely offensively here right now. He's way behind the enemy lines, and he just instantly gets stunned. Tian could not get in time to actually make it a 4 versus 3. We're looking mid lane.
We are indeed. Oh, Call of the Forge God manages to lock up Tian. He's got flash available to him, but he can't get out. Broxah's on the board. Fnatic 4 kills to 2. 500 gold up. 2 Mountain Drakes. And the Event Horizon locks in Crisp. Sonic Wave finds a target of Fnatic. They survive the early game, but this is the start of an advantage they cannot throw away.
Oh, top lane. They're fighting again.
GimGoon is going toe-to-toe with Bwipo. Sudden fight, Kate. This could be one of those wet noodle fights that we used to watch years and years ago.
Yeah,
GimGoon charge.
GimGoon never got to complete his Spear of Sojin, so that's why Bwipo can try and take those again.
Fnatic, they know they have a numbers advantage. They also have members in the jungle. They get another one.
Nemesis knows the ranges here on Veigar so well. Oftentimes we'll see people misplacing with the stun, but he sets it up with the GLP, with the extra Glacial Augment slow, finds the stun, he finds another kill with the pick onto Doinb.
All right, 2,000 gold in the lead. Listen to the Spanish fans in the Palacio Vista Alegre. They are losing their minds because for the first time all series, Fnatic are looking pretty good as we approach the 15-minute mark. They've got a tower, they've got dragons, and they've got a comp that scales well, but there is still no margin for error.
Very true, but it seems a bit easier for Fnatic now that they don't feel forced to do anything super aggressive all the time. They are looking bot side here.
Just as you say that, Deficio, super aggressive. Bwipo teleporting to the bot lane. Top lane has been conceded. The plates have just timed out as well. So GimGoon and Tian, they're going to be pushing top. The teleport will allow Fnatic to pick up the tower in the bottom lane. That should be the third, sorry, correction, that was the second outer turret. And as it stands, not quite sure the TP I'd call worth, but it does at least open up that part of the map.
I mean, they force enemy bot lane to give up the turret, so they trade at least 1 for 1 there. Ooh. Oh, he got him.
All right, Primordial Burst did a lot of damage, but it wasn't enough to kill Crisp. Not at this stage.
Yeah.
Still working on AP there for Nemesis.
And Bwipo didn't have cooldown on ultimate. If you see Call of the Forge God very close to coming back off, they could have chased down if you had access to that, but not there, so they let him walk away.
Now, obviously, Fnatic had superior side lanes. If we look at the last 2 games, where they could actually try and play 1-3-1. In this game here, when you have the Renekton and the Ryze, we are looking more at FPX trying to control that, and Fnatic obviously wants to group as 5 and team fight, but they still can hold the lanes very, very easily, and especially the Ornn here just stacking, you know, early armor, have been able to 1v1 the Renekton so far. Not gonna be as fun anymore with the first item completed for GimGoon, and now you have to respect the all-in a bit more.
We take quick stock of the itemization, as you mentioned, plus 20 CS. GimGoon in the mid lane, Doinb takes a lot of damage. Primordial Burst still available. Pretty even CS across the map, says now GimGoon will pick up the second tower of the game for FunPlus Phoenix. There's a mid lane setup. Call of the Forge God is available for Bwipo every time he's around. Just hold my breath for the engage, the long range that will allow Kai'Sa to come jumping in as well. So Rekkles was making his way mid. Instead, going to peel away and get some damage into this mid inner turret.
Yeah, and they've got a lot of vision here supporting that pressure on top side. Rekkles can go in with the extra attack speed. They calling in the rest of the team here to force it down. It should be a trade. You see Ryze there on the mini-map going for the split push for FPX.
Put up the cage.
Horizon is very good from Nemesis. Killer Instinct comes up from Rekkles, but it didn't commit the Primordial burst. Tian is able to escape. It cost him his flash. Fnatic are pushing on 2 lanes. Top has been saved for now. Middle is now under pressure. There's the Call of the Forge God. Event Horizon comes out, but very good flash away. GimGoon does go down. The tower will fall. Nemesis is in trouble. Doinb has not stopped the push in the bottom lane, though.
This is what we talk about again. Fnatic, they want to stay together. They're just playing around 2 lanes only, not 3. They have control in enemy jungle. They know everything that's happening around mid and top lane. They didn't want to overextend for any turret, but they were just fishing. The moment you land the stun with Nemesis, you can then go all in. And it's super hard for FPX to defend. They can't actually wave clear against the Veigar.
We are highlighting for Fnatic, grouping up and using their team composition to its fullest. They beat SK Telecom by defending early and then grouping up with the Veigar, chasing people down with these long-range engages. The slows coming through to set up stuns.
And it's very important to highlight that typically, if you play a teamfight comp against split push, once the map is set up and they're pushing all the lanes, it's very difficult to do something unless you can hard engage around a mid lane or around an objective. And Fnatic can always engage. They have Alistar, they have Ornn. There's no Braum to block the Ornn ulti or anything. They can always start a fight, and that is how you punish teams who wants to split up the map.
Here they go.
Take a look at this. Well, the Forge Guard's not available, but it might not even be needed. Trample's available as well. Killer Instinct's on cooldown from Rekkles. Until a few seconds ago, everybody on FPX had no flash available, and Fnatic had all of theirs. They picked up the Cloud Drake. Baron will be spawning in 2 minutes' time, and Fnatic still have a 2,000 gold lead, but it is so crucial to keep your eyes on Doinb because he has gone unanswered in the split push, but at least Fnatic are equal in cross-map.
They're going to trade here. Doinb and Tian are not going to stop. Fnatic are at the door as well. Inhibitor turret under attack.
FPX, you're new to the international stage. You don't want to base race against Fnatic. There is no team in the world with more experience at base races. The Inhibitor is being forced down. It is being taken in the bottom lane.
Can they find them
We're
in the
moving
base?
to the base race. All of the Forge God has come out. Teleport's being used. Event Horizon's going down. Fnatic, can you win the fight? Doinb is joining the fray. Hylissang goes deep with the ultimate. Rekkles jumps in with the Killer Instinct. LWX is down. Broxah is looking for Crisp. He finds him. It's at the cost of Hylissang's life. There's another one down as GimGoon is taken out. The Nexus turret is the next focus.
Yeah, no minions, sadly, for Fnatic here. They do pick up the kills. They wanted to force the recall from top lane. Inhib did not die top side, so Fnatic gets an Inhib bot.
No minions, but they got plenty of champions in that one. 3 kills for Fnatic. 12 stacks on the Soul Stealer for Nemesis, and this game is wide open for them. It's so key that this is also much simpler for Fnatic to execute this time around.
Fnatic did not have to set up any early tower dives. They didn't need to hard camp a lane to try and get ahead. They could play a lot slower in the early game and react to what FPX were trying to do on the map. Double Mountain Drake, Baron spawning very soon.
And so important to note that FPX were 2-0 up in the series. Baron hasn't even spawned. We've got 12 kills in the game. The Nexus turret was being sieged.
But you know what's going to happen when it spawns. Fnatic will set up vision, then FPX will try and face check, and then they will die.
The thing that I really like is the confidence for Fnatic being down 0-2 in a series to still push the Nexus. That tells you a lot about their mental state right now, and it makes me excited for the rest of this game, and with some luck, the next game in the series. I want more of this series, and Fnatic are now setting up that vision, Kobe, that Deficio talked about, and setting up for a Baron play.
Yeah, it looks like you are definitely in store for some more. Fnatic have full control of Baron. They're burning it down. Bwipo's under attack.
He is indeed. Call of the Forge Guard is not available to him. Event Horizon has come up. Bwipo manages to escape, and Crisp survives the primordial boost. Now the Nautilus ultimate knocks Nemesis in the air. Baron will just about get secured. Super minions are pushing in the bottom lane. That's a massive engage! Fnatic from downtown send FPX back to base. The gray screen is up for Tian and Crisp. And with Baron empowered super minions about to crest the steps of the LPL's base, Fnatic are looking to pick up their first win of the series. Nemesis is fighting LWX in the bottom. The rest of Fnatic are picking a fight in the bottom lane as well. Hylissang goes golden against Doinb, and he stays alive just a few seconds longer. The Baron empowered minions are now chasing Nemesis, looking for the solo kill. Not gonna find it, but the Q does. The Nexus turrets have fallen. Teleports are coming into the base. FPX are doing what they can to survive, but there's not enough available. There's not enough to fight. But look at this, Tian and Doinb, they turn around. I couldn't be more wrong. Bwipo's in trouble. The Realm Warp will allow them to continue the chase, and Broxah's running for his life.
Fnatic thought they had done it, but Doinb holds on to the game for FPX. He takes down Hylissang in the 1v1 in the defense.
Super carry of the LPL steps up when FPX have their backs against the Nexus. 3, 2, and 4, and Doinb on the rise keeps the game alive.
It looked like all of Fnatic had gotten individual missions there after they had taken the Baron. But, okay, yeah, Deficio, there is a ward in the base. Possible teleport Fnatic situation. You want Rekkles to go for it?
I'm just saying, he can. If FPX decides to walk out, contest, let's say, a Drake or something, the opening is there.
Do they know? They do know.
They know.
Oh,
I love the crowd noise, by the way. When that ward goes down, you can actually hear the pain from Spain. And we reset, and this is the replay of this final Rekkles push. I was convinced in this What's Move replay Fnatic were going to win.
You guys tell me what's going on with all these chase downs here for Fnatic.
Well, they wanted the Nexus turrets first, but then they realized behind them right now, there's actually still a bunch of turrets, and there's a very, very strong Ryze. I think Doinb playing it perfect, staying out of range, flashes out of cage as well, so he can just keep dealing damage. And now the rest of the team will join, and of course Rekkles ends up in the middle of the entire team and will go down. So for now, FPX, they stay alive.
Yeah, we will see if that lapse in judgment from Fnatic, you know, the lack of coordination finishing out the game or discipline actually ends up costing them.
It should not.
You can see it's a spike here, but as you're saying, it should still be 5 members of Fnatic, 1 Nexus left.
Of course, it's still a 2,000 goal game. We're 23 minutes in. These games have been so quick, have been so action-packed. My eyes are going to be on Doinb. He's got no flash available to get out of the event horizon this time around, and the lanes, not necessarily the strongest.
Here we go.
And top pushing towards Fnatic. The Realm Warp sends Crisp into the backline. Call the Forge God comes out. That sends Crisp flying. Rekkles is in trouble as GimGoon is running him down. Now, the first one to fall is Crisp. Nemesis does get taken out. So does Rekkles. All of a sudden, Fnatic's fight has floundered. Broxah tries to get something back as Tian's running for his life. He's got the Guardian Angel available.
That was such a good engage. Can he get more?
They can just now. That's a GA has been procced. The Broxah and Hylissang run for their lives.
Perfect setup right here. Ryze ulti, and it's only the Nautilus taking it, so he can instant point-on-click ult onto Rekkles, who's about to get flanked by Renekton, who can pop everything and take him down. Suddenly, Fnatic did not have the consistent DPS to kill the rest of FPX, and this Ryze just never dies in these fights. Look at this here. This is the setup they want. Oh, he actually gets knocked in by Hylissang. Yep. He actually headbutted him in.
That was, it just felt like the coordination wasn't there for them. Meanwhile, FPX just hunt and kill here. Tian takes the ultimate in, finishes off Nemesis. On the left side of your screen, LWX escapes with his life on the Lucian, kites back to the fountain to then come out for round 2 as they finish up the last kill.
Gentlemen, 5 minutes ago, I said how much I love the mentality of Fnatic pushing the Nexus at 18 minutes. I would like to
Not so in love anymore?
I would like to retract that statement right now and look at how they can set some of these fights up, because it is clear that Doinb and GimGoon, they still have a lot of fight in them, despite being marginally behind in goals.
100%. I think FPX done a fantastic job defending their base. Also removed so many stacks from Nemesis, but if you are Fnatic, you can still wait for next Baron spawn. You still have the double mountain set up. You have amazing engage, especially when the enemy team is forced to kind of like move in towards you through the river, where it's hard to dodge around to get away from an Ornn ulti. So Fnatic can slow it down a little bit. We're still only 25 minutes in. They don't have to finish the game instantly, and they still have great scaling on their side. Look at this, the Ornn items coming in, getting upgraded. Like, Nemesis still deals a ton of damage.
Super quick, Nemesis is currently at 736 ability power. He's farmed 212 additional AP throughout the course of this game and will continue to scale. We saw how quickly he obliterated those waves in the mid-game, so the defensive play is very, very strong for him.
All right, for FPX, because they're still in such a hard spot here. Baron number 2 coming up is so big for Fnatic. Right now, they just need to get vision control over this Baron area, and you will force FPX into you.
All right, GimGoon's going to flash all the way forward. Rekkles isn't there. He's starting to teleport and join the fray. He will get in behind. Call of the Forge God has already been using. GimGoon is pushed underneath the tower. GimGoon stays alive. The Primordial Burst picks up the kill. Now, where's the engage? Killer Instinct is available for Rekkles. I'm waiting to see when he uses it. Hylissang is in some trouble. Gets a 3-man knockup. Rekkles is chasing forward. Nautilus ultimate knocks him up into the air. He dives forward. Rekkles' shield keeps him up, keeps him alive, keeps him pushing forward, gets him a double, looking for the triple. Doinb is the last man standing, and he flashes away to safety. Fnatic, give this man respect because he is scary. The Super Soaker slows him down, and it's Rekkles that sends him packing for the ace.
That's gotta be it. Fnatic 4 strong in the FPX space. 1 inhibitor down, and the Nexus to follow. This series isn't over yet.
The Fnatic faithful find their first win. Gentlemen, we are going to game number 4. I am still flabbergasted at the pace of these games. That was a 27-minute win with 31 kills and 18-minute Nexus siege.
It could have been
more questions than I have answers.
It could have, and honestly should have been way faster. With that first Baron for Fnatic. They got your heart pumping though there.
Honestly, every time I cast base defenses with you, I need to get an oxygen tank because it's insanity. But honestly, I'm still nervous for Fnatic. It still feels like FunPlus are the better team today. They have looked scary, and even in those base defenses, like Fnatic, they took a lot of time to finish it off.
It was on 27 minutes.
I wish we could talk more for more on how Fnatic kept the series alive later. From Dash and the analysts, good luck.
Thank you very much. Quick shot. We could use all the luck you have for us.
We're still in it.
Still
We're
alive.
still in it.
Okay.
This is literally
Fnatic.
as we predicted.
Yeah.
We have a 3-1 in there as.
That
4
was
points,
a
my friend.
crazy game. Before we go all the way back to the beginning of it and kind of figure out how Fnatic got to where they are now, I do want to take a look at the final moments, the final team fight in which Fnatic is able to snatch a victory here with their backs against the wall.
I mean, we were getting worried because you saw this fight and how long FPX were able to defend for, but this time Nemesis is able to get out of the fight, Rekkles is untouched, and the moment GimGoon overcommits, you realize, okay, Fnatic can look to go for the chase, but even then you're like, wait, but Nemesis is now no longer here, what are you doing? But then it all comes together for Fnatic.
The amount of damage Ryze is doing at this point and how little the Lucian is, just take a look at this. Look at the quadra kill! What's going on here?
This was a clincher. I was like, is this going to be the quadra or is this going to be the game? Because Doinb is certainly feeling himself. Ah.
Wow.
It was super close, but Fnatic do end up coming out on top, and what I feel really strongly about is very much what DeFisher mentioned in the cast, the adaptation and the change Fnatic made in this series, and it was something that we actually talked a lot about coming into the day, which is the thing about certain teams is whether or not they can adapt within a series and recognize what they're doing wrong or what they can't do is very important. And for Fnatic, for 2 games in a row, they drafted a comp that was very much, we need to get ahead in the early game. They haven't been able to do it. So what do? Full late game. You have a Veigar, you have a Kai'Sa, you have an Ornn. All you have to do is not screw up the early game.
And who would have thought that that was the recipe to getting ahead in the early game? Just pick late, win early.
It does also help that their mechanics were cleaned up and a lot more was connecting that needed to. I do want to focus in on the Ornn pick because I'm curious if we're going to continue to see it, especially as an answer to the Renekton, because we've seen G2 do it and now we see Fnatic do it. And Ornn works really well as kind of a pseudo soft answer to Renekton because Renekton excels in getting the push and then looking for the dive. Now they did dive Ornn, but it required 3 people to do so, but it just makes it incredibly difficult because of the amount of CC and tankiness. And then when you also pair it with a Rek'Sai jungle, as soon as Ornn had his armor stacked up, he's like, come at me. Like, please, I'm here all day.
I think one other thing that jumped out to me in Champion Select was the pivot to the Veigar in the mid lane. And we'll get to one crucial replay where Nemesis comes up big for Fnatic. Before we get there, though, Vedius, I'm coming back to you because I don't want to pretend that it's all roses for Fnatic here in that they got this one win. There's still one matchup that we're very curious about. This is actually the play I was referencing when it comes to Nemesis TPing in. But we'll get back to the jungle point.
Okay, yeah. So with regards to this play, the reason why it was so important is throughout this series, we've seen early game moments where the game has swung. And for Fnatic, this was a very big one because their ability to react and counter it, and more importantly, kill Doinb was very crucial because not only did it put the Veigar in a position where he could now have a little bit more control over the lane, but it also put Doinb behind and it made it harder for him to roam. And something that Frost says all the time is if you cut the head off the snake, then it can no longer slither. And that's not quite a quote, but the main point is if you attack Doinb and you put him behind, his roam and impact on the map is not quite the same.
How close was
How was it?
How close?
I guess
9 out of 10?
Abraham Lincoln. That was the quote.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what did he pass? Is he get a D on that? I don't know. Now I'll return though to the jungle discussion because I think this is a very interesting one and a place where Fnatic could look to continue to make gains throughout this series. Vedius, talk to me about this matchup.
And it ties in very much with the draft as well. And the thing is, Broxah has been disappointing this series. One interesting stat that I had the stats team dig up for me is on average, throughout these 3 games, Tian has been hitting level 6, 7 minutes 7.6 minutes into the game, right? Whereas for Broxah, he's at 8.89, a full over 1 whole minute later than his jungle counterpart. And it's largely due to his poor pathing, the fact that he keeps sitting bot lane trying to find ganks to happen, and something Raz we talked a lot about at the beginning of the day was this Tian versus Broxah matchup where we just felt like Tian had the advantage.
Yeah, and I think Tian as a player is very cognizant of what needs to happen on the map. And so like a lot of the times when the lanes are doing quite well on FPX's side, he's pathing very consistently and safely. And a lot of the defensive wards are being able to catch out where Broxah is heading. And one of the most iconic moments for me was the fact that we knew that Broxah was going to be on the top side clearing Krugs. And Rek'Sai had a good idea that he was going to be bot side taking his Wolf and Gromp at that point. But the fact that he's always aware of this, or at least having a general idea, makes planning around it so much better too.
And don't get me wrong, I don't want to be a Broxah apologist here, but I do kind of want to give larger context so the laser focus doesn't just like target onto his back there, is that could be a team call. Yes, Tian is out-pathing Broxah. Broxah is sacrificing his jungle, sacrificing his pathing, also not making the most efficient decisions because he's trying to assist his lane. There's so much time that he's missing farming his jungle because he's literally sitting in bot lane trying to either cover for them or set up a gank.
But what's important about this draft is it didn't rely on Broxah to have a good early game. It effectively allowed Fnatic to play 4v5 in the first 15 minutes of the game, and then he could add value later on in the team fights where he is performing better. And I think that for Fnatic to come out in this game, they need to stick to this strategy, because even if Broxah isn't finding these early advantages, this kind of planning can help compensate for that.
Teleport timings, I think, so far has been really important with how quick FPX are being able to nail that down. So one of the replays that we had earlier on, I think, was a great indication of, like, at least, you know, Fnatic reacting to that, realizing that. Nemesis being in the play much quicker. And so I think regardless of the champion pool, that is a understanding from Fnatic that is getting them better throughout the series.
We're getting a look at FPX, who have just taken their first loss in this best of 5, and we've been fairly Fnatic focused so far, which I think is fair. But I now want to just quickly discuss what this loss might mean for FPX. What all do they learn from this or take away that they can apply in the next game?
So the thing is while FPX are unknown to the international stage, particularly the world stage, this is a very experienced team with a lot of years behind them and a ton of best of series experience and best of 5 experience. This loss does not shake this team. I think it's so easy for this team to just mental reset, take another run at this. And I agree with what Trevor said on the desk right there. It feels like as you watch these games, yeah, Fnatic walked away from this victory, but FPX have been the better team on the day. So now it's, can Fnatic completely shore up and kind of play to that potential that Vedius talks about all the time? Otherwise, I expect FPX to clean this up 3-1.
And I think the biggest and easiest change to make is swap the Lucian out for a better scaling AD carry, because these games are coming down to hard and fast mid-game team fights, and you need to be in a position where you can offer more value, and for Lucian, I don't think is doing it for FPX.
Each of the games so far in the series have been explosive and fast. I expect the next one to be exactly the same. Fnatic, they keep their dreams of a semi-final berth alive. We'll see if they can tie the series when we return for Game 4.
We're still in it, James.
We're still in it! Go!
Nearly trying to escape. Nemesis lands the event horizon, but Doinb almost survives. Eldox is running for his life. There's the engage from Hylissang. Doinb is joining the fray. Hylissang goes deep with the ultimate. Rekkles jumps in with the killer instinct. LWX is down. Broxah's looking for Crest. He finds him. Baron will just about get secured. Super minions are pushing in the
you're dead now!
That's a massive engage! Rekkles is chasing forward. Nautilus ultimate knocks him up into the air. He dives forward. Rekkles' shield keeps him up, keeps him alive, keeps him pushing forward, gets him a double.
One inhibitor down and the Nexus to follow. This series isn't over yet.
The Fnatic faithful find their first win.